I heard last year the issue is structural.
Yeah.
That they won't guarantee enough years forward at signing. There also may be an issue on the back end of how long this extension is going to be.
Right.
I think he wants a total 4-year contract, which would be a 3-year extension with the first 3 years fully guaranteed. No one has told me that, but that's just kind of like you piece it together over time. You hear different things. My guess is 4 years, 3 years fully guaranteed.
Something like
and the average of that 3-year extension is going to have to be $34 or $35 million, given the other dynamics of the market and given that the Vikings themselves, when the GM says he deserves to be paid like a top non-quarterback in the league, that gets you to 34, Nick Bosa. Not that there's a huge spread now between Nick Bosa and A.J. Brown at 32, but that's where you are. Remember, we got to take Tyreek Hill off there. That's not a real $30 million. I know that comes from Cap.com.
Right.
But the Hill and Devontae are fugazi. Brown and St. Brown are closer to real. But that Hill thing, and I think at some point, didn't we play a clip not long ago where like Tyreek's starting to figure out he's not the man anymore, and he never was really the man to the extent that they tried to sell it. He's not making 30. He never was making 30, and he won't make 30. Because there's a $45 million compensation package last year of the deal that falsely drives that up. So anyway, that's the background. That's where it stands. And until it gets done, there's a chance somebody's going to come in and trade for him. But the problem for the Vikings now, as they continue this competitive rebuild that they've been in for a couple of years, you're going to give up Jefferson, and who in the world are you going to replace him with? What are you going to get by way of assets that help you right now to have the best possible team? And good luck explaining it to your fans. I know my son has threatened not just to disown the Vikings. My son has threatened to stop following football altogether if the Vikings trade Justin Jefferson. That's how strongly Vikings fans are going to feel about this.
Yeah, well, he's that kind of player, right? I mean, I could put my, my feet in those shoes a little bit, right? It's like Odell Beckham Jr. when the Giants were getting rid of him. I was like, you better not. This is special. I don't want to ever lose this guy. This is so fun to watch week in and week out. And of course, we know he went to Cleveland and it didn't quite work out there and everything like that. But this is a once every now and then type of talent that comes to your football team and kind of transcends the game in a lot of ways. And that's where, I don't know what those exact details are with Justin Jefferson or anything. The 3rd-year guarantee, I've heard some of that, Mike, just like you have. But I don't know enough exactness there to kind of stamp my name on it. But at the same time, if that's the situation and the things you explain are real, to me that they're stupid is what I would say. That the Vikings should just make it happen. It's a wide receiver. He's special. He's a game changer. You just drafted a quarterback at number 9. Part of that investment in making him look good, of course, is the talent around him. Justin Jefferson's going to justify, hey, we let go of Kirk Cousins and we traded for this guy. And he's the future. And that's going to make everybody, Vikings fans, your son, everybody feel warm and cozy to go, whoa, man, good thing they got J.J. McCarthy and Justin Jefferson. This is an awesome combination, right? I mean, so there's so much there, let alone it's the wide receiver position. We know rarely do career-ending injuries, career-altering injuries really happen. It's rare. Right? Knock on wood for Justin Jefferson. Certainly not trying to put any bad mojo there. I'm just saying. And that's where I wouldn't be too nitpicky, I guess I'm saying, about a 3rd-year guaranteed or maybe a little bit extra money to close that gap, whatever it is. I just think this is one that's a no-brainer and you get it done.
First of all, McCarthy was taken 10th overall, not 9th. I'm not doing that to be an ass. I just figured you'd rather me clear it up now than have the well-actually crowd on social media give it to you. Second of all, here's the thing about injury. And look what happened last year. Hamstring tweak, how many games he missed. And that's fully justified until you get your long-term security. You ain't playing at less than 100%. It goes back to the story you've told multiple times about Brandon Marshall as he was entering the final games of his rookie contract. He had no security beyond that. How do you reconcile going out there and giving it your all with knowing on any given snap the security that you have earned for your family is gone forever? Oh, but you have an insurance policy. Good luck with those insurance policies, folks. Let me tell you something about the insurance industry. They're going to always look for a way to not pay you. You're going to have to fight to get your money, and I apologize if that blows our progressive gig, but it's all about money in and money out. And they'll take the money in, but they ain't handing the money over without a fight, especially when you're talking about these high-dollar disability athlete policies. They're going to want to be all under the guise of we need to be sure because they're not giving away lottery prizes for free. It can be a major pain in the ass to get that money.
Oh, major, literally. It can be literally like, wait, you can still walk, so you should be able to play. You should be able to play. We can't pay you. You know, I mean, yes, it's few and far between who have ever seen that payday from that insurance company in the situations you're kind of alluding to there.
And that's a different line altogether than the consumer auto
exactly.
stuff.
It's a different
that's
thing.
a different life.
Right.
You're talking about massive potential amounts of money changing hands, and it's not easy. It's not as simple as filling out a couple of forms and waiting for your big, giant check.
Yeah.
So that's not the kind of security I want if I'm Justin Jefferson. The security I want isn't in the disability policy that I purchased with money I've already earned. It comes from you, the team, to me, because I've earned that. And look, hey, I'm going to work on this some more because at one point along the line, I got the sense that the Jefferson camp thought the Vikings were playing games. And that's not the way to get this. Why do you want to play games with one of the great players in the NFL? What are you doing? Almost said it. What are you doing?
No,
you're playing games
I
with
think
Justin
again,
Jefferson.
I think
disrespectful to what he's done.
Well, dig and figure out because I think the big thing is there's obviously something with the contract that like the Vikings are like, wait, we love you, we want to do this, we want to give you all this money, but we don't like this aspect. And then of course, vice versa for Justin Jefferson. And I just don't know what that is. I don't know. I don't have the inside info there. You know, but hopefully you, Mr. Minnesota Viking fan, can figure something out and earn a paycheck for the first time ever. Let's go. Get on it.
Thank you very much. Here's another thing that I think is relevant to this conversation. When we went through this 2 years ago, with Davante Adams traded by the Packers to the Raiders, Tyreek Hill traded by the Chiefs to the Dolphins, and then suddenly, and to the dismay eternally of Mike Vrabel, A.J. Brown traded from the Titans to the Eagles during the draft, and they took that first-round pick they got from the Eagles and drafted Treylon Burks, who, talk about a tough situation for a kid to be in. Go be A.J. Brown. Oh, okay. Where do I park my car?
Yeah, right.
I mean, like, can I at least get my shoes on before you tell me to go be A.J. Brown? You have to find somebody else who's willing to do what you're not willing to do and give you the kind of windfall by way of draft pick compensation or players that gets you to move the asset. That's what's so weird about this. So the Vikings have Justin Jefferson, and they're not willing to pay him whatever he wants. Oh, there's somebody else out there who will. We also want 3 first-round draft picks. I'm not sure, and this gets back to how the receiver market might be mimicking the running back market. Are the teams that are willing, or not willing, to give gigantic money to receivers, are they going to find Raiders, Dolphins, Eagles to not only pay the guy what he wants, but also give multiple first-round draft picks to make these deals happen? I think that's the other side of this. I think that's why the Vikings are kind of like, why isn't anybody offering us 3 first-round picks for, one of the greatest players in football? Well, because he also wants money that you're not willing to pay him. So you can't have it both ways. If you think he's worth that much, that you're going to put your thumbs on the scale for what you want in trade, why don't you just pay him? Right. You don't think enough of him to pay him, but you think enough of him that you want 3 first-round picks for him, and then you want us to pay him what you won't pay him. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
And that's why, as they kind of sit back and wait and put out the feel, it's clear. If you're interested in Justin Jefferson, call the Vikings. And I think that one of the reasons why a trade hasn't happened is nobody's willing to give him $34-35 million a year and give the Vikings whatever they would want.
Yeah, it's going to be expensive, right? It's like the vice versa of everything we talked about maybe with CeeDee Lamb or Brandon Ayuk, where with them I'd be like, show me a team that'll trade and do all this for you, right? I don't doubt that teams would trade for Justin Jefferson. I think Justin Jefferson is one of those handful of guys like we always talk about, right? Like an A.J. Brown or a Jamar Chase or a Tyreek Hill, that group right there where I think the league looks at them and goes, they're in a different class than everybody else. We will trade for them. We will. Now, I just don't think the Vikings have ever really opened up Pandora's box to be like, hey, make us a great offer. Let's really get into this. I think they want to keep Justin Jefferson, right? I think they're afraid of how it's going to look. I'm going to think that they're afraid to kind of say maybe we tried to trade you because they don't want to disrupt anything there. I think they're trying to keep things, on the positive. But at the same time, yeah, I think it's like that. If that was the case, that should have been opened up, and those conversations should have been had mid-April or mid-March, somewhere in there, to really dive into it and then get into the first-round picks and the money and all that. But, man, we're in a tough spot right now. And, I'm going back in my brain as we're talking about this, right? We know what A.J. Brown was draft night. Tyreek Hill was right before the draft, maybe a few weeks before the draft. Is that right? Do you remember exactly as far as Tyreek Hill is when that trade went down? That was right before the draft, wasn't it?
It was several weeks before the draft.
It was,
several
okay.
weeks before.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say 2 weeks.
Pick.
Okay, right. Yeah. Okay, and then
it was Devontae Adams got traded, and that really brought the Tyreek Hill.
Okay, that's where I was. That's what I thought. Okay, I just wanted to make sure, and that's what I was. So there you go. There's 3 of those caliber type of players where, again, organizations have all assets on the table, let alone they haven't written all the checks yet. And now it's just like, if a trade happens now, I feel like, you might get the first-round pick, but it's going to have to involve players and other stuff right now, I think, to maybe get that done, which I don't expect to get done. And I think that, still the contract will happen here eventually.
I think the Vikings are not shopping him. They have no intention to trade him.
Unless something crazy happens.
And it's just kind of like they're sitting back and thinking, hey, if somebody wants this guy, there's enough out there. If you're interested in Justin Jefferson, and we know how this goes. It always drives me crazy when I see the breathless reports that somebody is fielding calls about a certain player. Of course, because that happens all the time.
Yeah, what are they going to do? Right, they call no matter what. Right.
Constantly.
Right.
Hey, just what are you thinking about that guy?
Yeah,
they're
just checking.
Curious.
Right.
They're just curious. We're just shopping. I'm just browsing.
Right.
Right? You walk through the store, you see something you like, you look and see what it costs.
No
You're not going to buy it. You're just curious what it's going to cost.
No doubt.
That's all it is.
You're right. So friends and
they're
organizations.
They're waiting for those calls.
Exactly. They're just friends. They're just like us in a lot of ways. They're going, wait, there's nothing done here. Wait, I know football. This guy's good. Hey, call this team. Well, they're not getting it done with this player. Is he available? Do we want to see what they're talking about here? And then, then there gets out, they're shopping him. And you're right. It's not always fair that way. There's a lot of people paying attention to all this type of news and always calling to just go, let me see. Let me just find out. Let me hear it from them. And I'm sure they have fielded many calls. There's no doubt about it. But, yeah, it hasn't got to that point or that offer that would just blow them out of the water, maybe like a Herschel Walker, Dallas Cowboys, Minnesota Vikings offer. That's what it take to get this kind of trade done.
Maybe the Giants would want to trade Malik Neighbors for Justin Jefferson. That's the guy they wanted. And somebody pointed out last night, and I try not to pay any more attention to social media than I do because I understand it's just, a million people passing around a megaphone and what they say is amplified, even if it is a little kooky. Sometimes they mean well. They just don't understand the point. Somebody made the point of, well, why would the Vikings want Malik Neighbors? He's not Justin Jefferson. Well, maybe he's not yet, but he could be. And here's the big thing. Malik Neighbors, the 6th overall pick in the draft, has already signed his contract. It is a 4-year, $29 million deal.
Yeah.
Not $29 million per year.
Yeah, right.
It is 4 years,
right.
$29 million. So for all 4 years,
yeah.
the Giants are going to pay him less than what Justin Jefferson will want
in 1 year
per year.
Yeah, right.
So that it's the dollar for dollar original application of analytics in football. Before it became this tool for determining whether to go for it on 4th down, it was, wait a minute, this player cost me this much. How good is he? All right, that player cost me how much, and he's not as good, but we get him for a lot less. And that's where this receiver market may be heading, and that may be why no one's called yet to try to trade for Justin Jefferson, and that may be the main reason why the Vikings have yet to do the deal, because they have to ask themselves, are we going to get the return that we need and that we want for Justin Jefferson once we're paying him $35 million a year?
Yeah, I think that's, of course, that's all part of the conversation there. And, the Vikings, listen, I 32, 35, whatever that number is, I wouldn't blink at it. I know there's issues there. I still think this is going to get done one way or the other, but it is odd. It is odd. And, yeah, I'm sure they'll still field calls, but I can't imagine a big-time move happening at this point.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.